Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are here. It's now week 9. We are down into the back half of October right now. A lot of good football last weekend. I think we picked a couple of good upsets that ended up happening last week. That were some good games to run into. But now we're here. We're here in week 9, and we're gonna go ahead and start off with our two teams. We've got the Bama coming to town to Columbia, South Carolina to take on South Carolina. Um, and what is a sure to be a interesting ball game. I don't see. I'm gonna go ahead and give my outcome. Bama's gonna win this ball game. Um, but I think there's just a couple interesting notes to point out in this game, and it's just more of talking points than anything else because you look at South Carolina and they've gone this week, and everybody knows what the issue is. It's no secret. It's the offensive side of the ball is the issue, and what they when they win games is because special teams ends up scoring or the defense ends up scoring, and they've been raving that hey, this is the healthiest they've been on the O line and team wide since the Missouri game and blase blase. But until the play calling changes, and I think everybody has seen this from if they've watched any of Carolina's games this year, is that the O line is the problem. You get rid of your O line coach, you go against Oklahoma last week. And you go from having 14 penalties in that ball in any on your previous contest to you go to Oklahoma, you have zero O-line penalties. So that's a step in the right direction. The O-line play was still bad, but that lets me know that hey, some changes are being made, and you've kind of taken a step back and looked at some things and figured out, hey, is the verbiage? Do we need to simplify what we're doing? How can we fix it? And another point with South Carolina that makes it interesting is that by halftime in every single game this season has been, I want to say, a one-score game. I think they've never gotten completely just blown out of any ball game outside of the Vandy game. But even that was that was 14-7 at half. And you go to LSU. LSU was a close game. Even Oklahoma last week, 14-7 at halftime. You're driving down the field to go get a field goal or a score as halftime is getting ready to expire. So your defense is playing as well as you could expect it. They're ranked, I think, right now 10th in the SEC, so you're middle of the pack, but they're doing what they need to do. And I think what happens in the back half of these ball games in the second half is just that you're not sustaining drives on offense, and you can only ask your defense to do so much. So they're getting gassed, they're getting beat up, they're getting worn down, and then the floodgates finally opens, and you end up losing by a pretty good margin in the back half of these games. But with that being said, in your losses, you've only your worst loss was the Vanderbilt loss, and even then, that was a close game at half. And your LSU, you lost by 10. Missouri, you lost by 9. Oklahoma was a lopsided because they ended up getting a late score late in that game to kind of pull away. But that being said, if you could figure out a way to get, and I was talking to some guys this week, if you can figure out from your O line to get, I'm not even saying good, if you get decent to okay play, you can start to make some things happen. And I think that's all they're asking for because you've got a dynamic quarterback that can make things happen, which I think is what covered up a lot of the O line issues last season, which they still had, especially in the first half of that season. So and Sean, we were saying, where's the quick game at for Carolina? Where is the hey the screen? I haven't seen a screen pass get called since week 1 against Virginia Tech, which worked in that game. You're throwing to your tight ends in the flats, that's good and all, but where's your wide receiver screens that worked last year? You've got your running backs that are you don't have a bruiser like a Rocket Sanders, even though you're trying to use them as bruisers and keep running up the middle, running. I know it's the running joke all over social media, and everybody that talks about South Carolina is every first down they're going to run it up the middle with these small backs. Where is your screen passes? You called one last week against Oklahoma. It went for 15 yards, and you didn't call another one for the rest of the game. Somebody has to get something established on that in that offensive room, and I don't know if that's taking play calling away or getting a smaller play sheet, saying, hey, the simplify it. I remember when Steve Spurrier was here, the running joke with him is that he called a total of 8 different plays on offense, but he had different formations that he would call the same 8 plays out of. And because they said, hey, this is what works. This is who we are. This is what we know how to do. Let's just run it in a bunch of different ways. So with that being said, I'm not calling for an upset. I know the line opened at 13 and a half. It went down to 11 yesterday for whatever reason. Now it's back up to 12, but I see this game being a another one of these kind of ball games. I see a 26-7. I think by halftime it might be close, but third quarter is where Bama kind of pulls away and Ty, the one thing I want to give kudos to Bama, I want to spill over that real quick before I hand it off. But I think Ty Simpson is one of the, if not the best quarterback playing right now in the nation. I think the way he's seeing the field, reads, pre-snap reads, getting the ball out on time. He's not wowing with these magical boom type stats or big time plays. But if you watch any of his games, he's playing in the system what needs to be done. And we mentioned it last video. He's playing like what you saw when DeBoer was the head coach at Washington, where it wasn't like, hey, we're shattering records and going 70-yard bombs down the field, but it's just we playing in the system. We know what we want to do. We know how we want to do it, and going out and playing with that type of intensity. And then the defense is also another thing that's coming along. Now, the one note is that Bama has a tendency of letting off explosive plays. This is a team that really doesn't do explosive plays, but on the defensive side of the ball, Bama is susceptible to giving up those big time plays. Is that a way for South Carolina to keep in this game? You don't know, but all in all, I think it'll be an interesting game to watch, to see if they can hang around in the first half and see if there's any fire left in this team. And from what Shane was saying, they've got motivation to get this thing fixed, and I think in his determination everybody from the outside looking in, which lets me know that everybody inside the building sees the same thing with the offense. Something's got to change, and maybe this is the week that it does. Who knows? But we'll see how it goes from here. But I'll hand it off to y'all. Let me know what y'all think.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up, kind of starting around the quarterback conversation with you. I think it's a battle between two good quarterbacks. I think regardless of what South Carolina's got going on, Lenore Sellers is gonna be a first round quarterback just because of his talent level. And I think what Ty Simpson is showing right now is that he's going proving himself to be one of those top quarterbacks in the country. And I think that, when you think of how he handles himself, Van, when you think about it, like the other quarterback I would compare him to in the conversation as being the best quarterback in the country right now would be Julian Sayon, both from the Alabama tree, but he's at Ohio State right now doing his thing with a burst of wide receivers and also making explosive plays going against inferior talent. When I think of Ty Simpson's game, I wore the Bryce Young jersey tonight for a new reason. And I feel like that's what he is with our offense. He's a distributor because he's getting so many different cats involved, and it's hard to stop that. I feel like what is this game is about? It's about talent and discipline versus people that's trying to figure out who they are. Bama should win this game if they just realize that we are the more talented team, we're a more disciplined team. We just gotta go out and play our game. Let this be a week where we try to still figure out who we are in aspects of who gonna be the true leaders. But it shouldn't be getting too many penalties or turnovers to keep South Carolina in this game. It should be something a business trip for Bama in the aspect of stay away from the rat poison. Nick Saban gonna talk about it all morning long on Saturday game day about the rat poison for Alabama. And this is that type of game. Because last year it was super close, but I felt like we gave South Carolina so many chances to keep getting in back in the game.
Hmm.
I don't feel like this offense is going to do that unless it just turns into something that we haven't seen yet this season, which is the turnover machine or a high penalty offense. So to me, Bama's going to take over this game handedly. But knowing South Carolina like I do, growing up in Columbia, I know if you get yourself in trouble down there in William B, it can be a long day trying to get your offense together. And I don't want to see DeBoer having one of these games he's had trends on where he kind of loses to inferior opponents that are unranked opponents in the wrong time of the year. And I think that this is a true test of who he's going to be and the type of energy he's going to get this team because we got to get through this one and get through the next couple ones to get to the real goal that we want to get to in the overall when it comes to this season. So this game is so important just because we can't drop no more because we dropped one to Florida State. And I think we're going to have to be a two, maybe one loss team to get to the playoffs like we need to be. But I think this game right here is going to be so huge. And I think on the South Carolina point of it is, Van, I think y'all kind of talked about it before the pregame and before our pre-show tonight when the conference is offensive coordinator. I think it's just that time of the year. We're seeing a lot of change in football right now. We're going to see a lot of big vacancies, and we're going to see a lot of overall new regime coaches come in the mix. For South Carolina, you got to get one of those guys. You got to take a chance on some guys when it
Yeah.
comes against some creativity. When you think of like how guys took chances with like Shark and what his offensive coordinator abilities was, and Lane Kiffin his offensive coordinator abilities, you're not gonna get those names. But the next realm of guys that you're gonna get, like Bama with Ryan Grubb, like the next realm of true offensive coordinators in college football, South Carolina has to put themselves in position to get it. And I think that's what this team just needs. So we're gonna see what type of fight South Carolina has. I pray to God they don't come in here and slap Bama down because I think what Bama's 1-1 the last two times we played South Carolina. I think I'm not 100%
Mhm.
sure the stats, but
Yep.
South Carolina's not a team that we just go in there and just routinely just drag. It's always usually a good game. So I hope it's gonna be like a 10 to 13 point game, kind of exactly where the line's gonna be at. But I think Bama's disciplined and their quarterback's gonna lead them to a victory at least in this week right here on the road.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you guys in the fact that Bama's going to win the game. One thing that's really interesting, like this time last year when Bama and Carolina played, I think it was a little bit of a different. Um, I think Bama, of course, Bama was at home.
Hmm.
Um, it was a little bit of a thought that Bama was going to win this game pretty handily this time last year. And what Carolina did was they came into Bryant Denny looking like that team that was on that trajectory that we thought they were going to be on at the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
And, almost to the point to where I think that if I remember correctly, that game came down. It may have been overtime or maybe close to overtime. So I mean, it was a
It was
good
two
game.
points. Yeah, it was a 2 point
points.
conversion away from after
Right.
Nick Harbor caught that one. This game took place after the Vandy game last year. So y'all were coming
Correct.
off of Vandy into yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Exactly. So what we're dealing with is I'm not sure what Carolina did before this game last year. I'm sure they probably played the same opponent they played last
No,
year.
so this was off of the bad loss at home to Ole Miss. So same
Okay.
kind of situations where they took a bad home loss, like what just happened to Oklahoma, and then for
Right.
whatever reason the light switch turned on, and then they
Right.
figured out how to play, and then from there, from the Bama game on, they won out. But
Carolina took off, right?
yeah,
So that's my point. So Carolina is capable, especially at home,
mhm.
of figuring it out. I mean, I'm giving them credit for being capable based on paper what you see in regard to talent. You know what I'm saying? This is the same team that we were projected to be in the top half of the SEC at the beginning of the season, not the bottom half that they're kind of trending toward right now. So I haven't lost faith in Carolina, but what I have done is gain faith in Alabama. There's a number of things going on in Tuscaloosa right now that are inherently different than they were last year. Kind of going back to where I started off with Carolina in the direction of the team. You know what I mean? At this particular point in time in the season, um, Bama is obviously going in one direction, and Carolina is obviously going in another. And I don't necessarily know if the fact that you're at home is enough to change the fact that Alabama is gaining on almost every team in the country in all statistical categories. Now, rushing, we're still not there yet, but we're proving that we don't necessarily have to run the ball the way that you think we have to run the ball for yards that actually occurred behind the line of scrimmage
Hmm.
to be what we consider now a rushing yard. You know what I'm saying? Defensive statistics. This has become a ball hawk type team now. We are creeping up. I think Bama is the fifth team, number 5 in the country in takeaways. And it's not just by luck. We're not talking about balls that were batted at the line of scrimmage and
Right.
they get, caught by the linebacker on a humbug. We're talking about DBs actually being in the right place at the right time. We're talking about, I think they're actually watching film now. It's like, okay, offensively, as far as the passing game is concerned, Ty Simpson has just led Alabama into the top 10 in passing efficiency. If
Hmm.
if you're a top 10 team in passing efficiency, and we all know where the running yards are coming from, and you're a top 10 team in defensive takeaways and also third down efficiency on defense, man, I don't care. Take the logos off the helmet and just look at the stats right now and tell me, is Bama one of the top, or this team with these stats one of the top 3 teams in the country? And they actually are. Not far from Ohio State and statistically,
Yeah.
not just the eye test, but also statistically. So what I'm saying is, when the stats meet what you see with your eyes, you're kind of starting to see an identity. You know what I mean? And I think that's where Bama is right now. I believe what we're seeing is kind of what we're going to get for the rest of this season. I don't necessarily know what type of situation you're going to be able to use to slow the offense down, because it's not an offense that you can say, okay, we're going to stop the run. Well, yeah, you can, but this is not a traditional run attack. You stopping the screen passes too? Are you stop? I mean, are you? What are you stopping? What are you trying to? All four receivers? Are you stopping all four of them and the tight end? Are you stopping Ty when he decides to run when it's time to run, not when he wants to, but when it's actually time for him to take off and go and get them extra yards? Are you, what kind of poison are you picking when you play Alabama? And I think that's what we're starting to see is like offensively, you really got to. I don't know if you just play base, and you may just do a better job of just playing base to let them come at you and just let them just keep everything in front of you. But then you say, well, he'll hit you intermediately too. You know what I'm saying? The offensive line's giving him time. I haven't seen too many of what I would call deep shots, but they don't even need to do that. They don't have to throw the ball 40, 50 yards in the air. They don't have to break off 50, 60-yard chunk run plays. They don't have to do that. It's almost genius in what we're seeing. And I just don't know if Carolina is ready to stop that yet. You know what I'm saying? Carolina might be able to find a few things here or there in the run game because a few teams have found that, but we're even getting better in regards to run defense statistically, nationally. So as we continue to play quality opponents and the statistics continue to get better against quality opponent week after week after week, no longer is it a question, I don't think. I believe this is what we're really dealing with. This is who we are. It is a road game. I think Bama could make some mistakes here and there, but nothing that's going to allow them to lose this football game. Bama wins this game by 14 points easily. I mean, 31-14, 37-17, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't think it's ever a question who wins this game.
Yeah.
I can see that same type of output. Real quick, Van. Just to answer your question, Sean, the only thing that could really hurt Bama in this type of offense is a true defense that can play man-to-man and blitz. That's the only thing, which we're not going to see that really until next week with LSU for the first real time.
Yeah.
Because Missouri had the pressure, but it didn't have the coverage on the back end to really say we can lock y'all up in the first 5 seconds.
Correct.
That's really Bama's offense. It's the first 5 seconds of that play call. Like the ball's out, ball moving, quick tempo on the offense, and it's going to be like a cornerback, a secondary that's got long defense. I thought Georgia would be the type of person, but they just don't have good man coverage like I thought they would. But it's going to be a team like LSU or not. If LSU can't do it, we're not going to see it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Even in the country in teams that we're looking at right now, Ohio State maybe.
Yeah.
But I give Ohio State a lot of credit just because of who their defensive coordinator is. But it's going to take that type of team to really say, you know what, we're going to just stop you. Versus Bama tripping themselves up and getting in situations like we've seen them in the past get themselves into, where they come out sluggish and they get down 10. They come out getting a lot of penalties and they get down 14. It's like, all right, now we got to dig ourselves out. Now we got to be perfect. They're in a good situation right now. We just got to do business, and this is a business trip.
Yeah, it is. And listen, 17 as the receiver, the true freshman, he's the fourth guy.
Yeah.
And he'd be a one at most places. Like he's not even really getting a lot of love because of how the ball is being distributed. It's almost like, as far as the defensive coordinator is concerned, you got to figure out a defense that allows you the opportunity, because Ryan Williams arguably could be a one. You know what I'm saying? Bernard is obviously a one. 17 Horton, he can arguably be, when you got 3 or 4 ones on the field at the same time, do you have 4 ones at DB? If you don't,
I'll say this though, Isaiah Horton in the game just by seniority. Because Brooks, number 17.
Brooks, that's what I'm talking. Brooks is 17. Horton is the guy from Miami, right? Yeah,
he's meant to be that third. It's supposed to be Bernard, Ryan Williams, and Brooks. That's who Debo really like. When you think about those third down plays, big time red zone plays, Brooks is right there making big time plays
in there,
and that's gonna matter. So it's got one of those guys you got to keep happy. There's another guy I forgot, I can't really pronounce his last name, Jalen Nwaba or something like. He's a cornerback and a wide receiver. He's that Travis Hunter type of guy we got. I'm surprised I haven't seen him like that yet. But I think in the,
Mbakwe?
yeah, I don't know how they pronounce his last name. I was probably haven't seen him like that yet, but I think in the later part of the season, man, they're gonna come alive.
Hey,
They're gonna
listen,
come alive.
Jalen Mbakwe is a product of Clay Chalkville High School over here on the east side of Birmingham,
Yeah,
Alabama.
I
Listen
know
here.
about him.
Yes,
That's a
sir.
true dog right there. Just
Straight up
get him on the
dog.
field. He a ball hawk. Yeah.
And he's looking for playing time.
Oh yeah.
He's trying to get playing time, and he is all that.
But I mean, real quick, the last report about Bama, and I love how Debo does get our young guys involved. He really gets those young guys involved in key moments where they make big time plays. And we saw it last year from the guy who got one of the biggest time plays in Bama history with the 99-yard pick six last week, and Xavier Brown. He had the game sealing pick last year against Georgia, which was, I want to say, it was a true freshman game. It was a true
Yep.
freshman game against Georgia. He got the pick in the end zone and still that game. So you see him playing young guys in big time moments, and it's coming to fruition. I ain't got Debo out the woods yet. We gotta finish this season off to get you out the woods yet, but I need the black hoodie every week at this point. Black hoodie Debo every week.
Straight up.
Yeah. And another problem with Carolina, just from real quick, is just that, hey, until they can learn, until Mike Shula can call a game where he scores more than 20 points, I will not be picking them to win another game, and that is including Coastal Carolina. All right, so moving on. We
Mhm.
got now the team that Carolina beat, or that the Carolina played last weekend that came into Willie B and beat us is Oklahoma taking on Ole Miss. Oklahoma is at home. I think this is a big time showdown. Ole Miss went on the road and gave Georgia a real run for their money. I think if that game was in Oxford, it could have turned out differently. But I think you're going against Kirby, and Kirby showed once again that he is the coach, the worst coach you want to go up against when the game is close at halftime. Because we've said it time and time again, halftime adjustments at Georgia is what bites you in the butt. And they still gave them a run for their money in the second half. But it wasn't enough to come out with that win. Now, if you're Ole Miss, you're going on the road, you're taking on Oklahoma. If you're looking at Oklahoma, you scored 26. I'll give it 24 just because of the lack of O-line, which gave you the safety in the Carolina game. But you're going to need to score more than 24 points to beat Ole Miss. And I think that's the biggest thing in this ball game. Now, Oklahoma's got, I want to say they're rated the number one D line or defense in the country right now. They're number one, I know, in QB pressure. So I think when you look at this game, Ole Miss's quarterback is going to have to do this kind of the same. You come into the game and do the same thing you did against Georgia to Oklahoma. I think you come out with a win. I think Ole Miss has the talent. I think they have the offense. Now the defense, I think you'll have to do just enough. Because looking at what Oklahoma did, they got the running game going a little bit, but it was against South Carolina, who's so. But even in the South Carolina game, you were only up 7 at halftime. I don't think that's the case against Ole Miss. Ole Miss is able to put almost 17 to maybe 20 on you in the first half, and then now you've got to battle back into that with a quarterback that still has a battered hand. You look at Mateer; he was effective against South Carolina, being I think it was 18 of 26. But still only had 150 yards passing. So they still don't trust him really throwing the ball. And I think he doesn't look comfortable throwing the ball just yet with that injured hand going on right now. But all in all, I'm gonna hand it off to y'all. I know the point spread right now is 5.5 in Oklahoma's favor. I think that has everything to do with this being a home game for Oklahoma and not so much the actual teams that'll be on the field. But I do think Ole Miss, and we talked about it last week. Oklahoma, you took your one loss, and we've been saying it all year. You get two, right? You get one conference and one out of conference. And when you look at the rest of their schedule, this was the last real test you have before you can kind of coast to the end of the year. So if you get out of Oklahoma with a win, I think you're looking at a team that could be in Atlanta. And also at the same time, you're looking at a team that'll have a pretty reasonable spot sitting in the playoffs. So I think this is everything for Oklahoma now. Can that button push you a little too much? It can. And also, what's Lane's mentality? I know Lane has come out publicly and said, hey, he's not looking around or so on and so forth. I saw somebody put up a stat said whenever Shane is questioned for another job, he's never won a game. So I don't know. I think he's focused. We've been saying it all year that he looks like a
Every
more
year.
mature head coach this season. So with all that being said, I got Ole Miss winning this one. I just think Oklahoma offensively doesn't have enough to compete with the Ole Miss team that's still playing really well. I mean, you go to Athens and put up 35. everywhere else, you've done what you need to do on the offensive side of the ball, and I really think Ole Miss takes this one home.
Man, to be honest with you, I really don't know. I really don't know, man. One of the biggest things you talked about was the chaos going on in college football with Lane Kiffin's name right now. And I do not see that as being a focused lane. I do not see it. I've seen too many times when his name pops up in his media, he just cannot focus on a true game plan for 4 quarters. And he slips up on certain teams that give him fits. And to me, the true test of this game, there's true two factors of this game. Lane versus Venerables, and then you got Chambers versus Mateer. Which quarterback is going to be the most effective quarterback, and which coach is going to be the most effective coach, which is a true offensive coach versus a true defensive coach. That's the matchup right there. And Lane, you can't come in there with no lame dog offense thinking that you're just going to win the game just because you truly got the more talented team. That's not what this Oklahoma team is about. They found they little bit of swagger last week against South Carolina. Watching that game like I did, I didn't really see them truly fold in certain moments that I thought they were going to fold in. And I was like, that's what I saw them against Texas. I saw them fold against certain moments where I'm like, you know what? They might just not be a good enough team to win these third downs or to get these turnovers that they need to get to or be disciplined in certain moments. And they showed they could be last week against South Carolina. To me, Ole Miss is going to win this game just because I think that they overall have the better quarterback. I think he gives them the notch. And I really, really like this guy. I think even with the loss to Georgia, he's still got to be, to me, top 3 Heisman candidate right now in the country. I give it to him, I give it to Ty, and I give it to the guy from Indiana right now. As really just being the guys that I'm watching and being like, you know what, these guys are just making it look easy for their teams. And I know there's some others out there that I'm probably missing, but overall, those are 3 guys that I'm watching right now that are keys. Like, it's not really much phasing you. I didn't feel like Ole Miss lost that game because of the quarterback. I felt they just lost because Georgia just came out with the best answer. And Georgia just came out with that resiliency that you see certain Georgia team have throughout the season. But this week in Oklahoma, against Oklahoma, you're going to get somebody that can beat you again if you're not focused. But I believe they're going to have the right quarterback, the right team to win by like a 3-point victory, maybe a 6-point win, but it's going to be close. And I just want to know, is Lane going to be focused enough to call a full 4-quarter game? Because if you slip up in that 4th quarter and give Oklahoma a couple turnovers and a couple chances, this is the time of year where they start to get hot. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see with this. But I got Ole Miss winning.
So I'm with you guys. I'm in the same lane with you guys in regards to this, but I'm gonna have to something happened in this Georgia Ole Miss game that really concerned me in the 4th quarter. I was very, very pleased. Even the 3rd quarter, even when Kirby came out and he was still swinging and he was still throwing his haymakers and they was landing, he was, you know what I'm saying, doing what Kirby does. In the 4th quarter of that game, he kind
There we go.
Yep, my dog on internet over here. Spectrum.
straight.
So just for clarity, are you able to like put those 2 parts together where it kind
Yeah,
of just it'll probably just shift the point of our views? But
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep on going.
all right.
All right. So in the 4th quarter, Kirby Smart does what Kirby does. He's the best coach at making adjustments. Nobody's gonna argue that anywhere. He did it. It took him 3 quarters to figure out that Chambliss is going to make his decision in about 3/4 of a second to a second in regards to where that ball is going to go. They ate Georgia up with them short timing routes, and then Lane, he did a beautiful job. Lane did a fantastic job of calling play. I think Ole Miss got tired. Georgia focused on the run. This is some old Nick Saban stuff that Kirby Smart does that a lot of folks don't pick up on if you didn't really study Nick Saban. Sometimes Nick Saban will run the ball when you think that he don't need to run the ball. Why he running the ball right now? Nick Saban was always a step ahead of you. That was Kirby in the 4th quarter. So my point is, Brent Venables, I believe, is or has been at some point in time in his career equally as good as Nick Saban and Kirby Smart as a defensive coach.
Yeah.
And he beat him twice.
Yeah.
All right. I'm standing on business now. He beat him twice. Okay, them facts. If Venables is the coach I think he is, he's going to pull the film. He's going to separate the first 3 quarters. He's going to separate the fourth quarter. He's going to focus on the fourth quarter and what they did. Those corners, they pressed, they made Ole Miss's quarterback go to his second and third read naturally, organically, which he's not quite ready to do yet. Only a few teams in the country can do this to this kid. Georgia's one of them. Georgia was one of them, and he finally figured it out in the third quarter. I do believe Oklahoma is built enough to where if they stay close and keep it close in the fourth quarter, they will have a chance to win this game. But that's only under the assumption that Venables picks up on what Kirby picked up on in the fourth quarter, or that he was able to adjust to in the fourth quarter. Venables has to adjust to this somewhere midway through the second quarter. If he waits too long, he does not have the offensive firepower that Lane does to stay in the game. Venables has to take it away and keep it like he did with Bama last year. He's got to take it. He's got to keep it. He's got to take the ball. He's got to go home. Take the ball, go home. I'm going home. My football.
Hey, I love to fight fire with fire. Trust me on this right here. I love this matchup right here. It's gonna be a true head-to-head matchup between head coach and quarterbacks. I promise y'all this. But just how Venerable is pulling the film from Georgia, Ole Miss, please tell me what you think Lane Kiffin pulling. Texas, Oklahoma film.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, and you learn from your peers in this league that we play in, and you see the guys from good to great when it comes to this time of the season and the adjustments you truly make. But trust me, I promise you, Lane Kiffin's picking on stuff he probably saw in the Oklahoma game versus the second half versus Texas. Because Oklahoma's defense truly wasn't the same defense in that second half. Whether like you kind of gave Georgia the hint or Ole Miss the hint of being tired or whatever it was that just made that defense kind of fall tier, I think that it's 2 games that you can really pick off on. That game and the South Carolina game to really figure out what Brent Venables can go into the bag and pull out. Now, the only thing that you're going to see different in this 2 matchup is we're probably going to see something that both teams have not done before. It's probably going to be we got to get truly creative and truly pick up a new offense in this game right here to try to get the edge on one of each other. Because I think the first 2 quarters are going to be like you're saying, Sean, a true chess match. And he's going to try to do something here that we did with Georgia. He's going to try to do something they did against other teams. Same thing with Venables. He's going to try to do the same thing against Texas, trying to contain the quarterback and trying to make him a one-read quarterback and things like that. But if you let this quarterback get out the pocket, man, he's dangerous. And I think that's the game changer. I think he can just be an overall more complete quarterback in this game versus John Mateer and what John Mateer can deliver versus Ole Miss. Because it's got to be a high scoring to me. I don't really see this being something that's going to be like a 14 to 17 point game. I see both teams getting end zone minimum 3 times. Minimum 3 times. It's going to be something where like the fourth quarter, a team just has to fall short at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, like I said, I hope Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin can come through and do a whole fourth quarter game, because if there's anybody in this country that can truly just shut you down, it is a guy like Venables. I just don't think Oklahoma got the talent enough to do it. I just don't think so. You can shut down South Carolina, but
they shut themselves down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, but it's gonna be a really good game though. It's gonna be one of them games where the old school football aficionados would really enjoy to watch.
But it's gonna be a true playoff matchup.
Yeah,
because I mean, Ole Miss, Oklahoma's really they in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
They right there in the picture, and we're in that realm of we're gonna find these teams in the next 3 to 4 weeks. That's gonna be either 2 lost South Carolina SEC teams or 3 lost SEC teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I think only way Ole Miss gets in the playoffs is by losing or winning in the SEC championship. I think if they lose anytime before that, they're just automatically done with, unless they win it all.
Yeah.
But I don't see them being a 2-loss team getting in the SEC championship.
Yeah,
you got to be where you are right now, winning out for the rest of the season, getting the SEC championship, and losing the SEC championship. And the committee says, you know what? Now we're not holding you that much accountable for SEC championship loss,
Mm-hmm.
if we sneak you in between 10 to 11, 9 to 11, or we're gonna view a SEC championship and you're guaranteed slide in.
Yeah. And don't forget, Bama ain't lost the conference game yet.
Yeah, that which is
Yeah,
And their
that's
schedule
big
is getting lighter and lighter as the weeks go on. They kind of gotten through their
hey,
gauntlet a little bit. Knock on wood, but
I was gonna wait. I was gonna try to wait till after the LSU game, but Bama's right now almost a lot for Atlanta.
yeah,
Something just
damn
happened.
near, damn near.
Let's
Based
say
on what
something
I
just happened.
see,
Yeah, unless something just happens. We got to get through Jordan Hare, but
right?
let's not let that happen. Just let's just focus on what we got to do these next 2 weeks and continue it on right now. But when this game right here, it's going to be a true playoff contender type matchup and the implications on what's to come in these next couple weeks. Because these playoffs about to check themselves out really, really closely, really, really quickly.
for
Really
sure.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, thank you all for tuning in. We'll have one more video coming out this week. Stay tuned, leave comments, hit the subscribe button, leave a like. We'll definitely get to you. But until then, we'll see you on the next go round.